if you made it to series 3 of 3, this is the part where you pass the 6 month stage. If you have children, you're probably now just inviting this guy into your home. You are introducing him to your children because you don't want to do it before, because you don't know if he's crazy. People show their true colors when they get around this point. You know, you don't want to get married right away at this point. Like, if he does propose to you around this point, then you will want to make the engagement a little bit longer just to get to know him more. But you want to be able to see how he is through most situations, when he's happy, sad, angry, and you can't get all of those situations out before the 6 month. And half the time you won't even get all of this out until the 9 month mark, really. So if you have young children, you probably want to wait until your children can speak, like they can articulate. So if you have children who are basically under 15, you may want to wait till the 9 month mark or the year mark. But if he's a really good guy, you know, you could have introduced him to the children, but he shouldn't be around the children, babysitting children, none of that. And it should be supervised. But again, I think you should wait closer to the 9 month mark. Now, here we go. 6 months goes by. You guys already talked about what reservations you have in a relationship. If there are reservations in a relationship, this is the time for you to say, hey, well then maybe we should get coaching or therapy or talk about it. If he does not want to talk about it, he's not trying to get better. If he doesn't want to get help for it, now some people may just feel funny about talking to other people about problems, but if they don't want to get any help, like if he says they're a therapist, he may not like that, you can say, well, maybe we don't have to do therapy, maybe just coaching. If he doesn't want to do that, then you can say, well, maybe a pastor at a church or some type of person that helps with conflict or whatever it is. If he doesn't want to do any of that, ask him, well, what's your solution? If his solution is pretty much close to doing nothing, this is something you should learn as a woman. It's called the eye stare. And this is when you do not want to get out of your element of not being feminine, but you want to get to the point, you're letting the guy know, you are calling him out on his BS. And this is the look that you want to give. And you make sure it's 5 seconds. Because if you do 10 seconds, usually that's followed by you're leaving the relationship, which I'll get to that. The 5-second stare is, let him say something like, oh, we don't need coaching, we don't need help, we got this. And then you would say, but you just said that that you had reservations about this and that we needed to fix this. And you were concerned about it. So what solution do you have? Well, I think it'll work itself out. But how can it work itself out if we don't know what steps to take? Are you saying that you want us to read a book together? Maybe there's like a workbook that we can do. If you don't want to speak with anyone, maybe we can do an online course together. No, we don't need to do any of that. And this is the look you give. The reason why you give that look is because you're looking like, you think I'm an idiot. You're gonna tell me what problems we have, but you don't have a solution for it? Really? So you're trying to get me irritated and be all bent out of shape, but I'm not gonna do that because I know that the games that you're playing. And then it should be, after you do that, he's probably gonna be like, why are you looking at me like that? Then it's gonna be like, so we have no solution, basically. And he's like, well, the solution is just let it work itself out. Then you followed up with another stare, and most likely this stare is going to be, you're gonna leave the relationship. Then it's, okay, I appreciate you letting me know that. I'm just gonna go ahead and let you do you, and I'm going to do what I need to do, because I want something serious and I want to grow in this relationship, and it seems like right now we're at a standstill point. So I appreciate the 6 months that we've had, or 7 months, whatever you're in, but I think we should go our separate ways. Thank you. Nice knowing you. Bye. And actually leave. And don't call him. If he wants you, he will call you. He's probably going to have his pride, not call you on the first day or second day, third day, fourth day. If he don't call you by the end of the week, don't even think about him anymore. Because if a guy is saying he has reservations about your relationship but does not want to make solutions, or if you are bringing up that there's some toxic behaviors in a relationship that you want to work out, but he wants to provide no solutions, this relationship needs to come to an end. It has pretty much plateaued. And if you are within these 9 months, you can let the relationship go before wasting any more of your time. Don't be this desperate woman that you think that you need to stay in a relationship, and then 3 years come in and you're in the same point, that now you wasted 3 years of your life before you realize that the relationship plateaued. This part of the stage is very simple, because this is the point in the relationship where you're at the point where you are getting very serious. Because after the 6 month, like when you're at the 6 month stage, close to the 9 month, you guys should actually be in preparation of marriage, which means now your conversations need to be more mature. What you speak about is more mature. You should know each other's inner circle, family members. You should actually know a lot more about the surface of the person, the things they like, the color they like, how they are when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're angry, when they're excited, when they are anything. It shouldn't be when they're under the influence, because I don't think, especially as a woman, you should be under the influence. I remember one time, I've never been drunk before, but and I'm not a big drinker. But I had 2 cousins that had 2 different drinks. One had something that was rum and coke. I tasted a sip of it. I did not like it. My other cousin gave me something more like a white type drink, like a martini or something, and I tasted it and it was good. However, I've come to find out, which I didn't know, this is what happens if you're not a drinker. You don't supposed to mix dark drink and light drink, and it's gonna give you the same effect of being drunk, because it's clashing with your system. So the minute I finished drinking it, I said, oh, I need to go use the bathroom. So I went to the restroom, and immediately I lost control of my body. Like, I felt like I had to drag my legs, like I didn't have my legs, I felt weak basically. And all I did was go to the restroom. And at that point, I realized, wow. So and in my head, I was in a mental state. My head was still there. So I could think about the things, and I said, this is what it feels like for people who are probably drunk. You don't even have control, autonomy over your body, how your body moves. Why would you want to be in that predicament? So ladies, do not get yourself in these predicament where you're drinking. Try not to be with a man who gets drunk, because he's going to do things that is probably out of the scope if he had his mind right. Don't get with guys who are, smoking and doing all those things, because people are popping pills, doing things like that, because you don't want someone who's out there. They don't have autonomy over their body when they're doing those things, when they're getting high. You want someone who is having self-control. And the only way you can do that is that when there's no other things in your body that's going to control your the things you say and you do, and your thought process. So that's my thoughts about that. That falls in line with character and values. It depends on what your character and your values and things are for that, and your moral compass, depending on if you're religious or not, what you think. Okay, at this point, you're still not having intercourse. Now, you're at the 9 month mark. You can either wait here at the 9 month, or you can wait here at the 9 month mark, or you can wait at the 18 month mark. So at this stage, you are going to say, so let's say, I'll just say a year. So let's say you don't say anything, because the last time you said something was at 3 months. You're close to 1 year when you make this comment right here. Do you see a future with me? Most likely you would have noticed if he saw a future with you, because he may already make references to terms like us and we. If he doesn't make those terms, or if you didn't notice it and you weren't sure, or you didn't want to believe, like, okay, maybe I'm not seeing it right, hearing right, you ask the question, do you see a future with me in the near future? This is when you say the term near future, because anybody can say, yeah, I see a future with us, and then it could be 10 years from now. So in the near future, do you see a future with me? Can you see yourself settling down with me? I think it's a valid question to ask, because you already told them in the beginning that you were serious, in a serious relationship. At the 3-month, you already made sure you guys were exclusive. So here you're close to a year and you're asking the question, do they see a future with you? Can they see themselves settling down and having a family and a future of marriage with you? You don't even have to say marriage, you can say future and see what they say. So then they're going to say, no, then bye, leave. If they say, yeah, but I kind of want to work on getting my money up. If you see he's doing pretty good in his career, I don't know what he's talking about. If he was already doing what he needs to do. That would be somebody in their 20s would say, which is what my husband said when we were dating. I said, so do you still see a future? Do you see a future with me? And then he was like, well, yeah. I said, because he was like, well, later, maybe in a couple of years. And I'm looking like, in a couple of years. Now, mind you, I'm 22, but I'm like, in a couple of years. And I'm like, well, I told you. You asked me what I wanted in a relationship, and I told you I saw myself having a family. That was reiterated at the 3-month mark. And what is it that is giving you reservations? And he said, well, I want to, get my money up. And I said, well, I can respect that. I said, but you can build while you get married. But I'm just letting you know that's something I wanted. So I wanted to know what you thought about it. And he was like, well, and I think the conversation ended there. He just kind of thought about it. Now, if a guy says he's not ready to get married until another 5 years or so, don't stick around for that. If he says 3 years, 2 years, and you're 32, 31, 30, 29, you're at the point where you need to have children by now. If you're 27 and he's talking about 5 years, this is what you do. It is not called an ultimatum. A man will say, this is an ultimatum. But what it is a decision maker tactic. And it is not just some type of tactic that you're using to play a game. You're serious, because you will leave depending on the decision that's made. So let's revisit this conversation. Do you see yourself having a future with me in the near future? Do you see us settling down in the near future? Not the near future, maybe 5 years from now. Well, the reason why I asked is because when we first got together, I mentioned I was looking for a serious relationship with my future being to settle down and have a family. And I see we've been together for a year now, or some people who may not want to say this in a year, it may be over a year when they're saying this. Then you would say, well, I see we've now been together for a year. What concerns do you have? Well, I'm just not ready. And you would say, oh, okay, well, I can respect that. And I definitely don't want to force you to do anything that you do not want to do. Is there something that I can do that we need to find a way to get closer together to make you feel comfortable in our relationship? No, everything's going great. I just think that it's just so early to get married. And now, mind you, in the back of your head, you're making a mental note that he said that he wanted to have a family. This is a guy who has spent Monday through Friday talking to you on the phone every day for a year. This is a man who goes on maybe 2 days out the weekend, or one or 2 days, and goes out and eat with you, or some type of outing with you for a year. For a year. And he doesn't know how he feels about you. He can't imagine you having his babies. He can't imagine you being his wife. And you guys have been together for a year. talking practically every day, not every other day, not a long distance relationship, but you guys are talking every day. You're going out to interact with each other in person twice, at least once or twice a week, and he doesn't know that you are wife material. He doesn't want to snag you up. So you say, okay, well, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. So this has been a wonderful year. I mean, you are a great person, but unfortunately, we want different things. So I plan on letting you do what you need to do. And if you want something serious, if you're looking for that type of commitment that I'm looking for, then give me a call. Bye. 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 We leaving. And I know I'm trying to be funny with this, lighten the mood, but you need to leave the relationship. I'm serious, sis. You need to leave the relationship, because who wants to waste more than a year? You've already wasted a year now. If you guys are very, very young, then you can wait 18 months. You can wait 2 years if you want to, if you're not ready. I would say the max is 2 years for you to wait if you're not ready yourself, because it is a serious commitment. But I'm saying 1 year to 18 months for people who are already in their 30s. What time do you have to waste if you're 32, if you're 33, if you're 34, you're 35, you're 40? Ain't nobody got time for all of that. You trying to have babies. You told this man you want kids. He know how old you are. Unless you've been lying about your age. You're 27. You don't have that much time to have children. I'm not saying you're rushing it to have children, but he knows that you're getting older. He knows he wants to have a family. Men can have children all the way to the 80, 90, 100 years old. You know what? Women cannot. And you want to be with someone who really wants that. If that's not what he wants in his life, then bye. Now, most likely, if this is a guy that likes you, he's not going to let you walk out the door. He's not even going to do that. I'm going to wait a week to call her because he's upset. He should be calling you that same night. This is a guy who spent a year with you, and he says he loves you and he can see a future with you, maybe in 3 and 4 years, but the minute you walk out that door, he can get that feeling, that sense of feeling that you're going to be gone out his life. You don't play around with that. You don't say it and just to play games. You need to be prepared to leave and walk out the door. Now, I didn't get that far with my husband. What I said was, that's something, that I wanted. I'm pretty sure he could see in my face that I probably would have, I was serious. So he, I think I want to say maybe 3 months later, because I waited around like 3 months because he didn't say no. He didn't say no, he didn't want to be with me. He just said, well, okay, yeah, I mean, I can see the future. And then from there, he showed me. But I think that if a man doesn't want it, a man is not gonna do something he don't want to do, and you don't need to force him to do it. You don't need to be like, well, you either marry me or I'm leaving. You don't do that. You let people make their own decisions. You are the one who's making the decision. The decision is, are you gonna stay in a relationship knowing that that's not something that he wants to give you, or are you gonna leave? Now, if a man says straight up no, that's when you leave. But if he's like, then what I would do is I would give the relationship at least another month to see if any changes are being made, like if he's making some action. But if after that, or if he's making it known that he's not planning on marrying you in these next 3 years, bye. But if he's like, well, I don't know, I just think it's so soon, give him the 5-second look and go, okay. And then you can say, well, I had a great time tonight, and I think I'm not feeling so well. And then you can go home. Whatever the date you're on, whatever y'all chilling, because most of the time this is gonna be where you're relaxed or chilling out. You're not in the middle of some big thing where you got to do something. You're like at a point where you're relaxed. You're not in the middle of eating. This is probably something you ask when the food is you've already eaten. That way you can get up and leave. Maybe you guys are chilling on a couch. because you need it to marinate. So after he says what he says, if it is, you're not gonna get an attitude and be like, I'm leaving, bye, good night. What you want is you want him to know that you are taking this relationship seriously. Now, if you know the relationship has flaws, then you don't need to be acting like this. If you know y'all have some toxic relationship and y'all been arguing and screaming, hitting and fighting and pushing, and the police been calling and all of that, then you may want to take your time at this point. But if it is at the point where your relationship has gotten healthier or gotten better, and then you ask this question and he's like, you know, the relationship's good, we're cool. He can't say he never thought about marriage, because he told you in the beginning that's what he wanted too, something serious too, and you told him you were seriously looking to settle down in the future. So now that the future is here, a year later, 18 months later, and he's looking like, I don't know if I see you in the near future. And then you can give him that look like, okay. You can at that time decide to dissolve the relationship or just cool off. So you probably want to go home and think about it, and that gives him time to think about it too. If you do stay in a relationship but you don't see any progress, I would make sure that you don't stay past 3 more months. After the 3 months, and I wouldn't ask him again, but when 3 months goes by and it doesn't look like any progress is made, then you might want to dissolve the relationship. However, I would go up to 2 years if you are like in your very early 20s, because you guys are still getting acclimated. What I'm saying, this cutoff, this 1 year or 18 months, is for people who are older. If you're in your late 20s, you can give it 18 months or 2 years if you want. But if you're in your 30s, 1 year is when you should have been asking this question. But 18 months is where you can go. 18 months, I want to say, is the cutoff, especially if you're over the age of 30, because the time is ticking for you. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to make you feel like you should be desperate or pushing a guy. But this is a guy you spent all this time with. Come on, guys, y'all over 30. Are you serious? This is a guy, he's probably been in his career for at least 5 years, maybe, you know, or 2 years if he switched over to a new career. But most likely he's in his career. I'm sorry, it's raining in the background, but this is the guy, he's been in his career for a little while. He's, you know, got a little thing going on. He's stable. Now, if you guys are going through, if there's a rough patch, maybe someone just passed away, a big change of circumstances in y'all marriage relationship, then I would cool it. This is not the time to ask the question. This is when everything's normal. There's no big change that happened in a relationship. Or if you guys had a huge blowout argument, you should not be asking about marriage now until you guys get together. You should not accept the guy's proposal after a huge argument. You see on TV where there's this huge argument, and instead of him getting back with her and then they build back up to get to a point where they're in a healthy point again, for him to ask her, he just breaks up, or they break up, and then his proposal is them getting back together. No. So that's that. I think around at the most 2 year mark, depending on your age. As I said, if you're over 30, I think it should be at the most 18 months. If you're like close to 35, it may be a year. If it is, if you have children, you may want to wait closer to the 18 months if you are worried about, you know, the kind of person he is. If you are very young, in your 20s, you want to wait at least 2 years. Because even though I got engaged in the 14-month mark, I waited a year and 3 months, because I was planning because I was planning the wedding. So technically, we got to be in a relationship for 3 years. So technically, after 3 years, wait, that doesn't sound right. After 2 years. So I met him at the last 2 months, the 2 months before the end of 2007. So basically all of 2008, and we got to know each other. He married me in he proposed in January of 2009, and I asked for a year, and then we got married in 2010. So let's see, 8, 9, 10, that's 3 years. So that's 3 years. So technically, well, and then I had a 1-year engagement, so it would have been 2 years. So like I said, 2 years if you're at a young age like we were, it seems okay. You can wait 2 years. 2 years if you're in your early 20s. If you're not ready to get married, in 2.5 years. But if you're someone who is over 25, 18 months should be around the time that you are talking about marriage. If you are 30 and over, then you definitely should be talking about it or closer between the 1 year and 18-month mark in that time period. Now, once you get engaged at this point, you can then be engaged for at least a year. I wouldn't say no more than a year, because what are y'all doing? You know, you have a year to plan a wedding. So if you got your year, so if you proposed in April but you wanted to get married in December, you actually have May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You have 8 months to get prepared for a wedding. But if you wanted to get married in January and you missed the time, then you would just wait around to January. But the point I'm trying to make is nothing should take more than around that year's time. You shouldn't be engaged for 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years, 5 years. Like, what are y'all doing? At this point, truth be told, you can actually just get actually married, like at a courthouse, and then plan for the ceremony whenever you want. But you can actually get married. You don't have to wait to the ceremony to actually be married. You can get married at the courthouse and then go back and do the whole wedding ceremony where people and family can come. So it'll just be for show, essentially, you know. Or you can get married within the 6 months, because people are trying to have a family and build, and you want to make sure people are serious. So that's all I have to say as far as vetting the guy. Again, you can weed a lot of these guys out, guys who just want you for your body. I'm pretty sure during any of these times, the guy is going to ask you about why is he not getting any? And you can say, I want to make sure that, one, I'm ready, and make sure that you are the right person for me. And that's going to take time. So usually a guy's not a jerk around this time if he sticks around even though he's not getting any. Most likely he's going to propose to you because he's not getting any. He's not proposing because he's not getting any, but what I'm saying is if he stuck around and he didn't get any, that means he likes you. So he most likely wants to make you his wife. He may get frustrated if you do have sex at this time. He's probably going to still stick around if you're close to the year mark. But I think that you should wait until marriage. But that's all I have to say. I think this is a great way to vet a guy, because you're weeding people out of your life that does not have good character, that wants you for your body, guys who just wanted to hit it and quit it, guys who just didn't really want anything serious or committed. You can drop them at any of these points in this stage. So it's sad if you have to drop someone after the year mark, but most likely if you're not having sex, this guy is clear-headed as well, just like you are. And you're able to take your blinders off, because I'm pretty sure if you did have sex, at this point you're going to be like, let me just stick with him. And then you'd be 3 years in. So hopefully you would have gotten married at that point. But, you know, if you are 3 years in now, and if you're 3 years in now, then you should just go ahead and ask that question that I was saying that you should ask at the 1 year mark. Or if you're 2 years in on a relationship, this is the question you need to ask. Can you see us in the near future? Settling down. And after the 3 year mark, and he talking about he still don't know, definitely that relationship needs to come to an end. That is all I have to say. Thank you for watching. So concludes the end of my series. If you have other series you want me to do, I can go ahead and do them. Thanks. Bye.